Hey folks, this is Ben Yessel. How's it going? I have to mention this dream I just had because I just do. It goes very, very deep, and it probably won't be easy to mention this particular dream, but I know it has a lot more bearing on my life than most of what I've mentioned in this regard. But it's important to mention, and I know where to go with it, and it'll be fine. Um, okay, so as I might have mentioned in a previous video at some point, or not, I was originally a music education major in college. That didn't work out, and I can go into more detail why that is, but it's not really important. But I guess, if you guys have seen a lot of my videos, you'll understand probably some of why that that was the case anyway. Basically, in a nutshell, I was just hardwired from birth to not manage certain things as well as other people. And it's related to Asperger's syndrome, but it's related to Asperger's syndrome. But sorry, I'll say that again. It's related to Asperger's syndrome. This is something, of course, that, well, I don't know. I won't get into that right now. But I gave it my best shot, and that was my major in college. And I don't know why this was the case, but I didn't know that I was not cut out for directing band, orchestra, until, student teaching, midway through. And it's the nature, so it was just the nature of, there's a lot of things that I've always suspected about, well, I don't know. I still to this day am not sure whether it was the fault of any professors, I'll say professors, not just one, or the system, college system, or something else. I know it wasn't necessarily my fault, other than I just didn't know. I wasn't cut out for it. But that's not the nature of this video. It's not really, other than dealing with that not happening, not being band director, and the concurrent or the attendant hardnesses, hardships in life because of that. Financially mainly, but it's whatever. It would have taken a lot of time out of my life and whatever. But the reason I mention all this, and this is all very real life. This is nothing to do with dreams. This is very real life. But my dream I just had to do with this very subject. The reason I mention this, just as a backdrop, is that, again, this dream I just had to do with a number of different band directors that I've known in college, Central Washington. It was mainly Central Washington. And none of them were, and also a few others as well, they were professors in college. So, none of these guys, we'll just say in real life, I know for a fact that none of these guys are, none of these guys have any issues with me, that they're willing to at least talk about. So there's nothing really going on in real life. I can assume. Right? But I'm pretty sure it's the case. And I'm talking about full-grown adults, well beyond college years, even, well, somewhat. So I highly doubt that there's really anything going on. But I just haven't kept in touch really closely with most of these guys. Aside from that, and I'm not going to name names, of course. It's not important. But again, in my dream, although these guys were there, including one of their fathers, who was a professor at Central Washington, when I was there. And in my dream, the older gentleman was a little bit more surly toward me than in real life, which I woke up and I was like, that's not in his nature to be that way. So this all regards some calls I made to band directors a little while back. A number of them. Quite a number of them. I haven't heard back. I didn't hear back from any of them after leaving messages. And I hadn't really done that for a long, long time. Making calls to band directors to see if there's any French horn students they had in band that wanted lessons. Originally, when I did that, I was just after college somewhat. I might have gotten a few responses. I think I did get a few responses. This time around wasn't as much. I got one response that led to just about a job that almost I do have. I just have to just do all the busy work now before I start working. Starting tomorrow. I don't know. It's just frustrating having to do all this paperwork still. More stuff before I get this part-time job. It's ridiculous, but so it was frustrating not hearing back from any band director though, regardless of how busy they are, more or less. I can only imagine I don't know what's going on exactly, or they have time to return calls. I was most surprised by a few folks that should have known me who didn't return my call. Now I'm wondering, just wondering, this is real life now. I'm wondering if there's some real life district policy I'm not aware of that has to do with them not returning my call, or if they truly didn't have any hornets, which I don't think that's the case. I really don't know what the case is. It's frustrating again not hearing back from them. But in my dream, here I am talking to again my old college professor, not the professor I knew the best. Worked with the most at Central Washington, but I did another one. I was more involved with music education, band directing, mainly, or orchestra, or whatever. And then probably a handful of these band directors I've known from Central Washington. And I was furious. And I wanted to talk to someone about my thoughts about all this stuff. About why, I guess in my dream, why I felt like I was being disrespected, or why nobody returned my calls about teaching horn, about, I don't know, I'm not sure what. I was furious. And before I even mentioned any of my desire to talk to any one of them, my old professor at Central Washington, again, he was in a kind of a surly mood, kind of rebuffed me at, speaking of the very subject that I wanted to talk to them about. But not even all of them at once. Just get some thoughts sorted out. This is the kind of, no matter how much you try to act like the big guy, no matter how mature you try to act, no matter how much you try to just move on with life. And even in this career respect, it's just the kind of stuff that you still have to deal with on a subconscious level. You wake up thinking, oh, that's not how this person is. Oh. But your brain or your heart still has these things going on. And whether it's this or something else or whatever it is, who knows when you're able to work these things out fully. It's just the nature of our subconscious, and every one of us is a little different in this regard. Every one of us varies a little bit in this regard. But, as my dreams go, I never got to talk to him about any of this stuff. The person who volunteered to talk to me. Here's the thing. And this is, again, my dream was my dream. And by the way, the scenery in my dream was very fantasy-oriented. It was more like the kinds of stuff I've been thinking about. I've been working on some brainstorming ideas, for video game and stuff. And so, where I was dreaming I was, even talking to these band directors and things, was a very fantastical, colorful kind of place. So, but in real life, if I, well, how can I put this? Whether it's a district policy or it's a band director negligence or whatever it is. Music education is something that involves many people. If a band director believes that they are the only person involved in music education, I don't know if any of them actually believe that, but if they actually believe that, if they actually entertain that notion, so if they have some, it's if someone was a parent and they had a beef with a school teacher, in a way, we're talking about something similar here. We're talking about, well, who's really has control supposedly over a kid? I never wanted control over any kids anyway. But, if you're talking about who's, I don't know. I don't know. I think what I'm trying to say is that this kind of thing of not returning phone calls, it does suggest a lack of respect, almost. I wouldn't really know until I talked to each band director individually. But it does really... Every situation is different. It's true. And there are district policies regarding this sort of thing. And believe me, I haven't heard back from various people in the past because of reasons other than their own ego or their own whatever. But outside of anything music education related or public school related. But yeah, generally when you don't talk to someone after they leave a message, it's anyone's guess why that could be, but I mean, it was very off-putting to not hear back from hardly any of them. And it's the kind of thing that makes you not want to work with band directors as a private music instructor. It really is. Because you don't want to waste your time leaving a bunch of messages that never return. And the most frustrating, the weirdest thing about all this is that every band director should want their band to be as good as it could be. And that does mean that, taking private lessons is a taking private music lessons will help your band to be better, because you're obviously your kids in the band are going to sound better. They're going to play better. Every band director, I think, would want that on some level. But it's just a question of either what the district allows, or I don't know, because it depends on the band director. But yeah, if a band director doesn't want to work with other people, then I don't want to work with that band director. I wouldn't know until I talked to him. And so again, this is all stuff that feeds into the stream I just had. But you could go a lot of different directions with this. This isn't just music education, that sort of thing. But if I ever talk to anybody in real life, by the way, who is a band director, and I find out that any glimmer of anything I dreamed about was true, I'll let them have it, but only them individually. Because I have absolutely nothing to lose by burning a bridge with the band director at all. I mean, how many potential students am I going to lose out on? Especially when they haven't even thought to talk to me about any of this stuff before. These are guys that were peers in college. I'm talking about peers in college, people my age, that we get along. We get along fine. Like, if I find out any of this is true, man, I have nothing to lose at all. Nothing. There's so many people that I have nothing to lose from by burning a bridge there. So many people I found out. I used to agonize over. At least for, I don't know. You don't really think of people that you go to college with as people to network with, necessarily. But, I don't know. It becomes the case, at least after college, if you haven't thought that way beforehand. But, again, if any, I know that's the part of my soul saying, if there is anybody that really does feel this way, that they are God's gift to music, and that supposedly they are the only person who should be involved in any student's education, well, I can understand you not returning a call, definitely because of that. Good luck with that, on every level possible you can think of. And screw you, have a nice life, kind of thing, right? I mean, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of band directors I could work with. Because, in the general area, this is a pretty populated area. And then I always, I haven't really needed to use any band directors in the past, for the most part, for finding students. You can find students in many other ways. I mean, school music programs. You don't want them to go by the wayside. It helps students keep playing regularly. We don't want to lose them. But at the same time, we want to have private music instructors be able to work with these guys without any interference from the district. And if they are truly overworked and they can't get to our phone calls, great. But, I don't think it's any personal slight. But it really does not... But considering especially everything I've been through in college, it just really does not at all, in any way, shape, or form, help matters. At all. So, not a very good dream, but at least the scenery was great. At least I was thinking about talking to these folks, and it's very scenic. If I could go into detail here, by the way, regarding where I was talking to him, but it was essentially like a gigantic fantasy type house with solid colored, like stucco type walls and reds and greens and stuff, and it was kind of loopy, like a yeah, ladders. And it definitely yeah. If you've played Baldur's Gate and that sort of thing, well, other such Infinity Engine games, you probably know what I'm talking about there. But anyway, you can leave me thoughts and comments below if you want to. This was not a very fun dream, but it's the side of, again, it's a real part of my life, and we often tend to dream in terms of what's really happened to us. So, in life, you guys take care. Catch you later.